Hey everybody, I'm the Bat Otter, and I'm tired. This weekend, really cold weekend down here in Texas. It was in the 40s, 50s, super windy, super cloudy, rainy all weekend. Weather that I absolutely love, and I got every opportunity to spend hours and hours and hours outside in the coldest moments of the day. But would you believe it? As a South Texan, I'm not used to that weather. So when I'd get home, oh man, I'd be like, why does everything hurt? uh, and now I'm just tired. I just worked out. I'm not used to being tired, not gonna lie. But it's been fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm not complaining. So here I am with Berserk Volume 9. I just finished it up. I skipped over the end of it. I'm not actually done with it just yet, but I've read most of it already. And like I said, the thing about the last volume, volume 8, that comes before 9, is that a lot of the part of the book that I didn't review, it was just a bunch of video game talk. It was like, this increases your stats by 9%, and this increases it by 10, and this is that, and if you do this, it's like that, and it's a 10th level this, and it's like, I don't like that. That's kind of boring and not interesting. The characters that are being introduced are, in my opinion, pretty interesting, good, compelling narratives that move the story forward for Guts, for Casca, and for even the Holy Chain Knights that we saw from Conviction, as they are now a part of Guts' little group, since Guts is also trying to fight his own demons, quite literally. So we're in the village of Enoch, and they're fighting off this invasion of trolls, and what we get is a lot of Miura, establishes a lot of interesting plot points that'll be carried out through the rest of the book, especially with Isidro and the witch, whose name is Shiark, I believe is her name, and even with Farnese. So we actually get a lot of character growth from every character involved. What am I kidding? Every single character shows off growth in the village of Enoch. And while Guts, Isidro, and Serpico are fighting off the trolls, Serpico using his new magic feather sword, Guts, of course, using the Dragon Slayer as usual, we're greeted with plenty and plenty of beautiful, beautiful double-page spreads in this book that, oh man, you could just gaze at them. I've gazed at them for unthinkable amounts of time already in the week that I've had this book. So there's a lot to take out from them with Miura's style. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's exactly what I missed in the last volume of Berserk, and that is fun, crazy action from Guts, who is absolutely stacked against these little trolls. And it's really nothing crazy to him. He tells Isidro and Serpico to fall back into the castle. I'll take these trolls out myself. And the witch has to cast a spell in order to protect the castle, the church. And the townspeople, of course, being religious people, are trying to stop her because they say, we will not have this heresy. So Farnese, as somebody who was once like that herself, goes and tries to convince the religious leader of the village to stop. Like, hey, look, man, I know that this is kind of crazy, but no, don't do that. You know, it's you can't do that. This is good. This isn't bad. It's not heresy. It's not bad. This girl is good. I used to be like you. And we get a lot of growth out of Farnese because if you saw in her little origin story, her entire life has used Serpico as a servant. But what Serpico begins to notice here is whenever the trolls get to the top of the tower and Guts tells them to fall back into the church, and he'll hold off the trolls himself because of course he would, as the trolls are invading the church, Serpico notices that for the first time ever, Farnese protects Casca, and Farnese goes to Casca and puts herself on the line for the sake of somebody else, which is the exact opposite of what we've seen of Farnese in the past, where she's very selfish, she's very go do this, go do that, I don't care what happens to you, go do it, I'm your boss, you listen to me. Now the roles are kind of reversing. And even though she's scared, as you can see here, she's screaming, charges him, and she just flings the dagger without any kind of purpose, barely cutting one of the trolls. She's quivering, heavy breathing, holding Casca with just this little dagger, trying to protect her from the trolls, and is going about it on sheer will alone. Whereas Isidro, who clearly looks up to Guts, as we've seen in the last volume, I did skip over some story points in the last one, he wants to be like Guts, he wants to be a swordsman, he wants to be useful, he wants to feel good about his abilities. But he goes up against one of the trolls after seeing Serpico absolutely annihilate these guys. As with Guts, he trips as he's trying to swing the sword around, and he gets saved by an old man, as he puts it, who he chewed out in the last issue, in the last chapter, which takes a real big hit to his pride, because he'd be dead without that old man. But upon seeing the old man save Isidro, the townspeople are like, wait a minute, why are we letting kids and women and one guy take on this army of trolls? It's like, if they could do it, we could do it. So it's a very inspiring story, and the story itself takes a nice, lighter tone to it, which I know some people have a problem with, but I think shifting the tone, making it lighter, and growing with the characters and maturing with the characters is a part of a long story. And as you'll see later, it gets balanced out. Excuse me. Can y'all hear that? Give me one moment. Hope you can't hear those people outside. Somebody just honked their car horn obnoxiously. Anyway, the witch is finally able to cast the spell. The spell repels all of the evil from the church, trolls and all. But here's the thing. It repels all the evil from that little area. Thing is, it doesn't repel normal things. And upon doing that, a big ol' ogre comes around and starts wreaking havoc. Now, this is the first big fight of the volume. Guts is like, oh, hey, look, somebody to fight, right? Everybody's freaking out, and even the witch is like, what the heck, how is this manifesting here? And she says, I'm gonna need a bigger spell to get this guy out of here, because he's about to start destroying the church and killing everybody in it. And she says, I need time. So Guts says, okay, oh, we get this cute little guy. I like him. He's called a Kelpie. He causes a lot of ruckus. Serpico kills him in the end. But look at him. He's a frog with all of the intelligence and nuance of a horse, which is absolutely nothing. That's why I like him. So Shi'ar says, we need to buy some time, and Guts is like, okay, understood, boss. And we get this really nice render of him with so much depth in his face, and he's just so nonchalant about it, and everybody's like, what? Guts, you can't take that thing on your own. And Guts is like, watch me. And he proceeds to just absolutely annihilate the ogre, making it look easy, using his sword to block things. The trolls are just getting demolished in the background. They're food for the slaughter. And Isidro and all of the townspeople are so amazed. And I'm thinking, wait, they've watched Guts fight the apostles, and it clicked. None of these guys have seen Guts fight any of the apostles. So they're all in complete awe at him squaring off with this ogre. Especially, like I said, Isidro. They've seen him fight men, they've seen him fight demons, they've never seen him fight these big monsters. And so Serpico, who notoriously doesn't like Guts, chooses, whenever this little Kelpie comes into the mix, to help him out, do a little tag team, and work with him, because he sees the change in change in Farnese, and he still feels like it's his duty to take care of Farnese, and in doing so, he goes and he helps Guts, and we get some really nice pages of the rain, the gray clouds. It's a really nice environment. I always say that with Miura, is that he's very good at creating different environments, and again, these are just nice kind of character moments throughout the chaos of all of this, which is where Miura excels at writing. He can have such a chaotic scene where they're fighting trolls and ogres and monsters, and the Kelpie quite literally is controlling water to drown Serpico. Really violent stuff. The witch gets possessed by a water spirit so that way she could flood out everything. In doing so, she destroys the town. But again, in the midst of all this chaos, Miura is so great at creating very immersive and evocative, is that right, the right word, emotional environments where the characters grow and the violence is not without purpose, and in causing the flood throughout the village, Casca and Farnese fall off of the tower. I keep thinking tower. The church. Guts goes into panic mode because he can't save them. But as we see, and this is, by the way, this is a great panel. Since it's rushing water, everything is so loud, it's so chaotic, the sound effects are put over Guts and Serpico shouting, which I think is a very good way to indicate something being super loud, because you can't read it. And if you're already immersed in the story, then it works, I think, perfectly there. So that's a good little lesson for you comic book enthusiasts out there. If you ever want to write something like that, do it like this. It works. And town gets cleared. All the townspeople are like, oh, wow, we wanted to burn you, but now we don't. We're totally changed. These are the most reasonable villagers in the 15th century I've ever met. And Guts also shows a change as he's following Shierk, saying, it's your call, boss. He's allowing himself to be vulnerable around these people. And even though Casca and Farnese just got lost, which previously would have sent him into a blind rage, he sees that she's stressing out and says, hey, don't be so tense. He's acting as a right-hand man, a leader to all of these people. He's been through so much. These people are just now getting thrown into the mix. So he's taking it upon himself to be more mature and lead these people whenever they might not be so ready to be led. Just nice moments. That's all I can really say. Really great artwork as usual. Isidro has a nice heart-to-heart with the old man who saved him, kind of getting a little bit more humility with himself. Again, all of these characters are growing, and we move on to the Troll Cave, which is super brutal, I gotta say, but I love every bit of it. So that's been the video. Even with all the action, I still focus on all the emotional parts, because those are the interesting parts. I feel like the story is really slow and has broken out of the breakneck pace that it was in for however many volumes, which I like it. Sometimes I don't like it. I'm mixed about it. I still like the story. I still like the characters. But I think if this were any other story, I wouldn't be about it. But because it has all the pre-established stuff, I'm like, okay, I'll write it out. I like these characters. I want to see what happens with them. And even though it feels like there's not really a sense of direction anymore. I mean, sure, he's still hunting for Griffith, and Griffith is creating his kingdom, but the two stories don't seem to be working together just yet, and are almost completely parallel to one another, where Griffith's kingdom is being established, but Guts and the gang are doing their own thing as well. They cross over here, but even then, still doesn't feel like a lot is happening, and that's across two of these. So, however you feel about that, I'm still enjoying the character moments, and yeah, that's been the review. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, subscribe to the channel, comment, like the video, tell me what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.